Veganuary vegan? Hi new guys, Koji here, ComplEat.com. This is the Veganuary podcast, and in January, every second day roughly, we finding a new episode and trying to get a new topic around the vegan lifestyle, how to transition to vegan, what obstacles you can find or hurdles you have to jump over. And it's not different today either. So what we're gonna do here with my girlfriend, who is an environmental engineer. She can talk more about the environmental cost and environmental side of the veganism, and I'm a sport nutritionist and personal trainer, and we were vegan for 4 or 5 years. So we kind of know what we're doing. And
hopefully by now.
And in this episode, we wanted to just kind of summarize and talk about the changes we come across during our vegan journey and how it's changed our life for the good.
It can be a bit of a opening a door to other things then that you start looking into. As maybe other philosophies can have the same effect, but for me it was veganism. So
how did it start for you?
So
what did it change?
It changed quite a lot actually, because it was funny. I don't know if I was if I started looking into sustainability first, or I think actually I started looking into animal rights first, and then because I've always had a very nice relationship with pets. I would always loved dogs and cats, which are the ones that I had contact with. And as I was growing up, I started to feel a bit conflicted regarding eating other animals that actually are also mammals. And I started to read about it. Why do we eat these and not those? I started seeing other cultures that were actually the opposite. That would, in some countries of the world, people don't have dogs as pets, so they might actually eat dogs. And that's my first reaction was like, savages. And just think those people were ignorant. And then I realized later on that I was being a little bit ignorant myself, because actually we were doing the same here, just not with dogs, but with cows and pigs. And then I started reading. I started first trying to rationalize things like, no, I do this because these are the ones we are supposed to eat, right? Because dogs are different. Then I started reading about their intelligence, if you want to put it like that, or
there are tribes where they eat humans. So.
Exactly. So basically, I just, long story short, I just realized that there's no actually a valid reason to make that distinction. I became vegetarian first for a few years, and then I started looking into becoming more aware of the fact that everything that's mass produced is going to have disadvantages, but mainly if you deal with live beings, it's going to have massive, terrible ethical and moral disadvantages. And I realized that eggs and milk and cheese would come from the same sort of cruelty foundation. And then I was already studying environmental engineering, as you said. However, we focused very much in technical things, like technical solutions. You can be basically planning the construction of a wastewater treatment plant, for example, and not as much going into depth into where does the environmental issue comes from. And that's what I'm dedicating myself to now. And I think looking into animal rights started opening that door, because then I started to being more aware of how we naturalized something in our minds that is completely not natural, which is industrial production of food in general, but mainly of live beings, and treating them as a commodity, which really I cannot understand that concept anymore, and I didn't understood it either yet. I just even before I was just not questioning it at all. Once I started questioning, there was no going back. But then, because I started looking into that, I started looking into the environmental causes of those massive productions as well. I started looking into, then further on, what could I do to be conscious not only of the moral aspects in terms of hurting live beings, but also not causing so much environmental impact. And then I started looking into minimalism because of that as well. So, and this was a process along a few years. It was not like in a day or a week.
Sure.
But yeah, so basically starting being a vegan led me to many other things. And I think that happens with a lot of people. I see a lot of people who became vegan and now are much more than just not eating meat and dairy and fish. They usually become more aware of sustainability issues as well, organic, using organic products, trying not to buy things that you just discard, for example, trying to reuse, being more conscious in general, because you start being more conscious in one thing, so you gain that skill and you gain that habit, and therefore you're going to take that with you into other areas of your life.
Yeah. I think the biggest, if you want to change the world or want to do something big for the world, is the easiest thing is just be vegan, because
that's definitely one of
the easiest one you can do. Like, you don't have to invent a new technology or reinvent the wheel or anything. Just stop eating meat, and you save lives, you save the environment, and your ego is going to change as well, so you become just a nicer person. We can talk about this later. And and also, you're not gonna buy any more products like items which made from animal. And it's also really good for the environment, because of the CO2 emissions and etc. A lot of things, we talk about this in the other episode. There is a website called, I don't know what it's called, but it's basically you can check your economical footprint.
Oh yeah.
And you just have to fill out.
Footprint.
Whatever is your footprint, and then he has like numerous questions, and you just have to answer it. Like, I don't know how many times you order food to deliver, because it's obviously come with the drivers bring you the food. Also, you have waste, paper and plastic you have to throw away. So that's a big environment impact and footprint you make. How many times you travel per year. Obviously, when you fly with the plane, as the kerosene goes into air, it's a lot of impact on the environment. So you fill these questions, and there's like how many times you eat meat in it, and those impacts the most, because I just fill out that vegan and we don't order food. And then I did this test when in that year I have to fly like 3-4 times during Europe, and once international, or what do you call it? Atlantic.
To another continent, transcontinental.
So I have to go to Brazil from here. And so in that trail I had 3 Europe trips and 1 to Brazil, long trip. And I still passed, like my environmental footprint was green, like very, very small, just because I'm vegan and I don't order food. So if you just fill out the question, like 5-10 question is about your eating habits. And there's a huge impact on how do you eat and how's your lifestyle.
I think that and I've done it as well, actually, like a year ago, maybe longer than that.
It's about like heating in your house as well, like those are little impacts, like but still, if you want to do just a good thing to the world, just turn vegan. It's just super easy. It's very nice in the environment, and obviously you don't support abuse. If you wouldn't kill people, why would you kill animals? There's no difference. They're not food. You're not a wild animal which you need to eat. Kill something and eat it, otherwise you die. Like, it's so easy to be vegan, and it's not necessary anymore.
And you know, something that is really curious, I know that pets are probably now very adapted to domestic life, so probably even their digestive system is slightly different than it was when they were, I don't know, probably, I reckon they came from wolves and were canine and feline. But they can have a fully vegetarian, vegan.
Dogs can be vegan.
Because nowadays there are pet food that is vegan.
Not just that, but they intestine changed so much because they're so long together with human and they eat human food.
Exactly.
So now they become kind of like omnivores. Yeah. You cannot do this with cats. Cats like still carnivore. If you want to keep cats vegan, then they're gonna die. Yeah. Maybe there is a way to do it with vegan products, but I don't think cats like that. Cats are different. They're not dogs. They have their own mind.
But I think there are vegan brands of pet food, both dogs and cats.
Yeah, sure. But
so if you start doing it when they're cubs, when they're babies, obviously after they stop with the mother's milk, maybe they get used to it. Yeah. I'd have to look into it better.
Also, there are people like, not the best idea, but they now have pigs as a pets as well.
Yeah. It's actually very easy.
Yeah, like they're very smart. They're usually smarter than dogs, but at least as smart as you. You can train them. You can, they do the same as dogs. They're very playful, and they don't get fat or dirty as you. Like we keep them dirty. That's why they're dirty.
Yeah, if you put them, if you have a pool, for example, they will go to the water. The reason why they're dirty, either they're being raised industrially, so they just stay in the same spot the whole time and they are not giving a shower. So you can imagine that's not dirt, that's their own waste. They have to lay and sit on their own waste. So that's what you see when you see, food, a dirty pig being transported in a food truck. That's what you see, is not dirt. Now, getting out of the heavy stuff, if you see in a farm, a pig with mud, it's because they are trying to keep themselves cooler. But if you give them a little pool, they'd rather go to the pool than to the mud. I've seen this experiment a few years ago. So it's not like, it's just
not like dogs not getting dirty.
They do. Yes.
They go through it. It's in animals. It's fun.
Yeah. But I remember this gentleman that had a pig, and it would actually be slightly different than a dog because they don't have the hunting instinct, so it's even easier to train because they don't go after things. They're still very curious and stuff, but they don't have that much instinct to like fight and stuff like that. So he said it was actually easier to train than his own dogs. So he was the only one who would walk without a leash. He was to say sit. He would go to the cafe. He would leave them at the door and say, "Okay, wait for me, sit," and he would stay there.
It's super smart, man. They're very smart.
It's very cute.
Yeah, and then the other things I mentioned. If you stop eating flesh, I guess you're gonna turn into less aggressive person, I would say.
I've seen a lot of things written about it. I've never really.
I don't know how is it collected. Like, you have this when you eat more meat, you're gonna be more aggressive, and I think it's noticeable, especially when you're young or in the fitness industry, and you eat a lot of meat, you become more aggressive. You want to be more. You just become more like wild or more animalistic. Once you stop consuming that much meat, I think you just become nicer. You can ask a lot of vegans. I talked about this with a lot of vegans, and they say the same. I don't know, is it because they become nicer and that's why I still being vegan, or the vegan and then. But for me, like, to watch like a video where animals suffering, or even just go next to like a butcher shop or something, I just feel death. I don't feel like I used to feel like it's food, or I go to the butcher and buy something, so I'm gonna eat that. Now I walk there and I just see like death, and I see that animal and that flesh, and it's like, disgusts me. It's not. it's not that just I'm not makes me hungry or not. I don't think of
like
issues.
a horror movie
It
because
feels
you're
like
watching, you're
yeah,
seeing body parts
Yeah.
hanging.
yeah, and it's.
Not nice.
And then what I want to say is I wasn't always like that. Like I went to the market, it was normal to buy meat, and but now I just don't feel the same, and I know I'm never gonna eat meat again, like unless like a life and death maybe, I don't know, but other than this crazy theoretical situations, I know I'm never gonna eat because it's just not desired anymore, and I know I don't need it. So I think you're just gonna turn into a nicer person as well.
Yeah, I think we become. I was always a great person, so there's no difference at all, actually. Oof. No, I'm kidding. I think I became more sensitive to, or more open to perceive other realities, for example. I'm much more, how do you say this, accepting, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't have, well, in some things I might still, because you have these beliefs ingrained in your brain sometimes, and you were raised with so many opinions that it's hard to sometimes break out of that cycle. But now I am more open to try to analyze something and think about it before rejecting it, for example. I am also more aware of, or more open to try to understand other realities in terms of suffering as well. Mm-hmm. If someone that belongs to a group that I do not tells me they have a harder life than I do, I won't be like dismissive or, patronizing. I'll, even if I've never thought about it, and it at a first instant it might sound like an exaggeration or something, I won't reject that person or dismiss them immediately. I will always think about it. I'll ask them to explain if they are interested in that, or if not, I'll research about it. I'll try to understand. Yeah. And I think it's because I became more, more sensitive, because before I didn't used to question anything, and this veganism path led me to a more conscious and more aware
It's
personality.
exactly what I was wanting to say. It's because veganism is going to push you to research stuff before you buy something. Either it's clothing or food. Then you became like this critical machine. Like and I'd always suggest it to everyone, just question everything. And it's not just in veganism, but it could be in training, could be in your upbringing, whatever. Don't believe anyone until you do your research and you're certain of something. It still can be wrong, but at least you know that you went after it, and it's not just coming from the air or someone told you and you believe to someone. Because for all my life, everyone told me that I need to eat meat and that was the food. And now it's like, you just do a couple hours of research and then you just watch a couple videos how it's lean, and then you're just, it was a lie. And it still might take months until you do the whole research, but just in a couple hours. Like, the internet is an amazing platform. You can reach anything and you can learn about anything now, and you don't have to, it's free knowledge outside, and you can graduate on internet. You don't have to spend thousands of millions of pounds on education if you really want.
With the extra effort of filtering stuff.
It's definitely a lot of effort, but it's a free education. And if you just start looking up and like, oh, this is there's something behind this, and let me see this and let this see this up, and then sometimes people fall into the other side of the horse. When you see vegans, they become these super vegans, and they just believe everything which is vegan, and then like everything is vegan is the best thing and everything, and then it's just the best diet ever, and then there's nothing better than being vegan, and who is not vegan is like go to hell. And then they become this other side of the spectrum, this militant vegans where they don't do research anymore. If they see the word vegan, then it's just right. You cannot, they don't think critical anymore. So they just
But
become
I wouldn't say that's a majority. I don't
but
feel it.
like you have to question also vegans as well. So just because someone is vegan doesn't mean doesn't lie to you or other parts of the lie to you is not stupid. But are very stupid vegans as well. It's just because, you know, someone is vegan, this doesn't mean it's like a messiah. So you just question everything, don't believe to anyone, do your research, and if you find someone who is trustworthy, then just, you know, go with that guy or girl and then believe it and read everything you know, and then if you feel like that person is worth your trust, then it can change your world. Like it did ours, I guess. Like when you do your research and you say like, okay, this is doable this way. This could be like veganism, diet, exercise, minimalism, whatever you like. Just enjoy life, but don't listen to anyone. Just do your research, and if you don't like something, you don't have to do it.
Yeah. Don't listen blindly to a person.
Yeah.
Listen blindly. Well, you know what I mean.
It's saying like when you were young and you have to like, your friends are drinking, so you have to drink as well. But you know, after the years, and if you don't want to drink anymore and you just drink, because you don't want to hurt your friends, you know, that's not critical drinking. You don't have to drink to feel good about yourself. We talked about this as well. And same with eating, you know, just because your whole family is your whole meat eater and you don't want to eat meat, it's fine. And with everything else, just be critical, look after, and obviously if it's an excluding diet, so you're excluding a couple things from your from the palette of the opportunities. So you need to make sure you do it right, and so you have to do your research. And if you don't know, then you have to find people who know better, and then just
compare information, see the ones you identify the most with, but always with critical thinking. That's the final.
Yeah, that's the final thoughts. Okay, guys, hope you enjoyed this episode. We catch you in the next one, and then just make sure you train complete. Train complete.